Hello and welcome to the Queber channel. I'm Jason, your host. Let's talk about trauma, PTSD, and what people face. Now, some of what I show here is going to be traumatic, and what we talk about is going to be traumatic, but it's very undefined when things go wrong. This is why if an event happens, like a shooting or something, or any kind of traumatic event, specialist counsellors are available. Because you don't just shrug these things off. The only reason I coped so well, and I did cope so well with the move into this house from next door, with everything else that was going on, was because I had friends. Because I had coping strategies. And even though a lot of it was ripped away from me moving into this place, I still had people to talk to. I had a crisis number I could call. So in this video, we're going to see the kind of things I was facing back then. Some of them I will describe. Oh, Beryl wants to come and say hello. There we are, little Beryl. Snuggle dog, yay. Snuggle dog. She hasn't eaten this morning, but she will probably eat later, so there we are. Okay, so as you know, I dealt with a lot in my life, and my coping strategies did not help. When Trevor died, that event hit me on so many levels. First of all, on the base level that Paola had died from a heart attack, basically a cardiac arrest, and he had too. So those two events, everything came back to the surface. It was not fun, to put it lightly. And then when we find out all the destruction, remember, this was my mum's family home. This was her pride and joy. This was the place where me and Paola spent many nights, many days with my mum in this house. She was always so house proud and loved it so much. So even if we discount, which we can't, all of the financial trauma of finding out that my entire inheritance had been spent, that all of the jewellery and everything from the house had been sold, that all the pottery had been sold, that everything had been done like that. Even without that. And that would be enough to send most people into a depression or problems. Then to find out the damage of this house. It was traumatic on a level that I can't really put into words. If we look at this image, when I walked into this house and saw that cupboard, it made me cry. Because that cupboard, that little cubbyhole inside my mum's bedroom, was a place of wonder. My mum had multiple shelves, and on it was gifts and wrapped presents and all her financial stuff all stored neatly, all her qualifications, jewellery, bits and pieces. It was an ordered perfection. And that's what it was turned into when I came in. This wonderful bedroom that my mum kept so nice, that the floors were beautifully clean, that the bed was perfect, and I always used to rib my mum about how much she spent on looking after a place and that. And this is what I came into. a floor ground in with cigarette ash and carpet that was destroyed. It took I think it was between 7 and 8 complete vaxes of the house carpets to try to bring any kind of semblance of being okay. The carpets never recovered and never will, and they need replacing at some point in time in the future. But at least it's livable now. At least I wasn't getting out of bed and walking in a sea of ash and that. And remember, I knew this carpet, how clean, how tidy it was, how beautiful this bedroom was beforehand. The damage done by that, I had to go through everything. It wasn't good. And when I say to people that underneath all of that, which you can't see there, underneath all of that was compost. Basically, they had been using the back bedroom as a compost store and plants and everything. Let me show you. There. I wasn't kidding. Yeah, that black stuff you can see is dirt, compost. This was my mum's home. This was everything that was beautiful and wonderful, and she was so house proud. That was the stage I was in at the moment when I went through it all. It rocked me. It took me apart. It tore me apart. Everything that I saw in the house, and I had to work so hard. And this is why I ended up selling. We've figured out over £50,000 worth of equipment that was part of my safe place in the other house, just to think it, because the whole point is, you may think that's a lot of money, but you don't get that kind of money. Not when you've got to sell stuff quickly. Not when you've got to, when there's nothing left in my mum's bank account. When you find out that everything's been removed and there's nothing there, and you've got to pay the bills for this, and you don't have the money, and you've got to figure out how to get rid of all the industrial waste in the backyard and everything. The trauma that I went through, I wasn't thinking straight. I sold a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have sold, that I regret selling, that's gone now. But what else could I do? And this is what I think mine about trauma. Trauma, it hits you from the side and you don't know it's there. I was just taking one step. That's all I was existing in. And I had been torn out of my safe space. Everything had been ripped apart. All the plans for next door had gone. And now I want to show you, you see, we used to have a much cheaper security system, a Blink, Amazon system, cameras and a front doorbell, like a little Nest camera type thing, but it was the Amazon. Those were around that time. Do you know, I still hear the sound of that doorbell. It's been disconnected for over 4 or 5 months, and I still hear it in the night. I still hear it sometimes. Sometimes when you see me look to the side when I'm on streaming, it's because I hear that again. I know it's not there. I know it's just my mind. I know it's something that will probably never go away. Ding dong, and I'll just hear it in my head. I was under siege because when next door was taken over by drug addicts, and when the person living there became, how can I put it, had a psychotic break, and I was the focus of everything. Now you got to remember, a lot of the money I spent on this house was to beef up the security. This wasn't because of illusions, this wasn't because of paranoia, this was because of a very real threat. People were coming into the backyard from next door. People were hanging around at 2 o'clock in the morning. People were coming into my front yard and trying to break through the gate. People were doing this. And at this time, the front door, the old front door on this house and back door were both the cheapest piece of crap that it would have taken one kick to get into this house. That's what I was facing during all of this. And remember, the police are so defunded these days that they weren't able to come out a lot of times. So often I would go through 4 or 5 hours of a siege at night where they would be knocking on my door, they would be pressing the bell over and over and over, trying to rip the bell off the wall. Now I'm going to show you something. I'm not going to show the face of the person. This is one of the many, many situations over those months that happened. And it's not pleasant. But you're about to hear what I was dealing with at the time. This is one of the main reasons we had the doors redone as security doors, and the windows had security blinds put on them, and then the proper business type of security system was put around the house. So yeah.
Stress.
Why don't you just...
Careful, there's a red light shining brightly.
Why don't you just leave me
Why don't
alone?
you just shut your mouth, you liar?
I'm not a liar.
Yes, you are.
No.
Trying to get me done in my people. You set up job.
I have no idea what you are.
You. I get you. Police coming to my getting in there. Do the red lights in the window. They pin me legs.
What?
Yeah, we're all on you.
Why don't you just go
You
away?
get your drugs in the hospital like you normally do.
What?
Yeah, you know what.
I...
Nah.
Can you just please get out of my garden?
No, magic. Record on. Magic. Let's start. Oh, no, quick move, please. Can't see it from you.
What?
You can stand there like that all you want. Pose for the camera. Vogue.
I've told you I don't have a key for next door.
You've got the key to next door.
No, I haven't.
Lie.
I've
Been
never...
in there earlier.
I've never been in there
Seen
on
you
my
getting
own.
in.
I went in there with the police to
That's
see if
why
you were
you can't
okay.
be bringing
That is the only
lies.
time I went in there.
You horrible person. You
Well, why don't you just go away then?
patched in and you think you're clever.
The amount of...
Yeah. That time that went on for 4 hours. And every time I'd shut the door, because you'd say, hey, just shut the door, just walk away, just go and sit down. Every time I shut the door, she would press the bell over and over and over again. And then we had the nightly visits of the drug dealers and the prostitutes and of next door and going through the place. And seeing the damage done next door. I used to sit in that garden next door. I used to listen to audible books around a fire pit with my dogs. I did streams in that backyard in the summer. And all of this created trauma. And trauma like that doesn't go away. Like I said, I still hear the distinctive ring of the Blink doorbell, even though it's been disconnected for like 4.5, 5 months. And for a normal person who doesn't have autism, who doesn't have bipolar, and ADHD in that, and who isn't depressed, this would have been a life-changing event. I am very, very lucky, very, very lucky that I had so many coping strategies and friends around me. Because I think a lot of people would have been driven to an end-of-life event. Because I was under siege. My bottom windows now have security blinds on, like you would in a high-end jewellery. My front and back door are of the best quality composite doors you can get. My security system around my house, my camera system around my house is better than most high-end offices have. And I did this not because I wanted to, not because I wanted to spend my inheritance, the money that was supposed to go to me if anything happened to my mum, that my mum worked on it all the years to make sure I would be able to have it. When they finally put it back into her account, when they found out that Trevor had done all this, wasn't meant to be used to turn this place into a fortress. But I had to protect my mum's assets. I had to protect her, because if they had got into this house, not only would my life have been in danger, but they would have destroyed this place as well. Trauma and PTSD and all these things, they don't go away. I am so lucky to have so many friends and so many coping strategies. And this is one of the reasons why it's so important, this last little bit of money that's being spent to replace the items that were sold right at the start, that I used to look after my mum's finances and her assets until things were sorted. I was not thinking straight. But we survived. And look at me now. Look at what we've done here. Look at how much better position I am now. Look at how we've got even so good a system set up that I've been taken off the watch system by the mental health teams, that they no longer have to keep an eye on me, that I've got so many things in place, that the treatments and everything work, that everything we do works, and I can function. I may not never ever go out the house, but I can function and be independent slightly. that matters. So even though I've been through absolutely hell this year, on top of the hell of my entire, what I've gone through, since with Paola's death and everything, this year we are now in a place where it matters. And it's like this. I can look at the garden outside in the back now and know that if my mum was here, that if she wanted to go into the backyard to have a cigarette, that she'd smile. I can know that when I look at the backyard, that it's not full of industrial waste. And the last part of all this was trying to get rid of the slime and that was on the floor, that was because, of course, Trevor had destroyed her old pressure washer and I couldn't afford to do it. But now look at it. Now I don't feel depressed when I look at the backyard. It's been such a long journey, and it's an ongoing journey. It's not going to stop. It's not going to instantly become perfect, because what I've gone through will always be there. And certain coping strategies will sometimes become not enough, and certain triggers will happen that I will have to face, because all of this stuff that's gone on, all the damage done, does not go away. Something else could trigger it. I will still wake up at night and hear that front door chime. And then I'll have to remind myself that that no longer exists, and that I am secure, and that that front door would take basically an army to get through. And once I've completed all the, because there's still things that I've had to sell that I regret so much, and I'm going to replace them with, I can't replace them with the same things because they're not available anymore, but I can replace them with something that takes the same place in my safe space. And of course I will do videos on those and show you these items and that when they arrive and when I've done it. And still at the back of my mind, every single moment, I feel so freaking guilty for using this money. And that's all to do with the trauma and what was done by the people who were here before and what they did. I shouldn't have here anyway. The people at the bank have told me I shouldn't. Everybody I've talked to, from my neighbours, the really nice neighbour next door, we've all talked to me. It had to be done. The damage that was done, and to repair it all. But still, that side of me, because of what happened and how everything went, is like, it'll stay with me for a long time. And to know that my mum spent her entire life putting together money so that she could look after me, because she knew that I was vulnerable when she passed away. And to know all of that money has been used to repair and fix the damage done to this house instead. And to replace the stuff that she had a great hand in it. Most of the stuff that I got rid of, my mum helped me build up over time. But this is not a video about pity. This is not a video about, oh my God. This is about a journey that all of you have been a part of. that Midnight Munchies and everything else and all the things I do every week, I did not think tomorrow is my birthday. Tomorrow's my 53rd birthday. Freaking, I'll be, I mean, seriously. There was times in these last years that I didn't think I'd get to the next day, let alone to my next birthday. Now, if anybody wants to, if anybody does, you don't have to, because I know most of the people in my thing are in the same, I've been through trauma and hassle themselves. But if anybody does want to get me anything for my birthday, the best thing to do is either money to PayPal, my PayPal thingy. Let me just make sure, because Jason forgets. Let me just check, because I can never remember what I put, because it's never been a priority. So let's just go to my my studio, just because I never remember. So let's go to YouTube Studio, and let's go to my content, and go to my details of thingy. So there should be a there should be in that. Oh, so it isn't there. Oh. Okay, so I will put into this video, there's an email at the bottom that you can thingy. That's okay for PayPal, and I'll put a link, and you should be able to get to my wish list on Steam, which is probably the easiest one. Because really, I don't need much. If you want to give me money, that money will go on Audible books. That will go on buying Audible books credits. If you want to give me any, if you want to buy me a game on Steam, you can, but you don't have to. Just being part of the community is enough. This is the best birthday present I could ever have, is that I'm around and all of you are around as well. That's it. I don't need a birthday cake. I don't need anything like that. So this is Jason for the Quever channel. You wonderful, splendiferous people. Just one more thing before I go. Never try to face this kind of thing alone. If you're dealing with depression, if you're dealing with trauma, talk to a friend. Talk to a professional. Get help, because you cannot face this kind of shit alone. One of the worst things about all of this is it tries to isolate you. And if I hadn't had my friends, if I hadn't had my coping strategies and everything in place, then I don't know what would have happened to me. This is Jason for the Quever channel.